Hello, everybody. Welcome to your very favorite Spider-Man podcast. Here comes the Spider-Cast. I'm your co-host, Michael, and as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Merville, and today we're going to be taking a look at Spidey comics from July of 1985.
That's right. And we should also mention that we have our two regular co-hosts with us as well, G.I. Jolie.
Boo!
Yeah.
Let her back on.
Boo!
Oh.
And Bex Luther.
Yo, what up? It's me. Sorry, I yawned literally while I was talking.
Okay. Already bored. All right.
No, it's been a long day.
Okay. So this is going to be another fun week. We've got 3 fun Spidey comics to review.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start off with... Oh, and by the way, this is from July 1985. And we're going to start off with Web of Spider-Man number 4. So Josh, tell us what this one's all about.
All right, so we see Spider-Man, and he is stopping this robbery of these like fur coats. He tracks these goons down to their warehouse and takes them out, and it ends in kind of like this car chase almost, I guess, where one of the guys gets into one of the trucks and drives away, and Spider-Man stops him, but in doing so kind of gets into a car accident, and everybody's kind of angry and upset at him in that classic Spider-Man way. And right on cue, we cut back to Daily Bugle, which is kind of the source of everybody's like hate for Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And Peter is trying to get Robbie to buy some of his Spidey pictures, and again, Robbie kind of reiterates that he's not really looking to turn the Daily Bugle or keep the Daily Bugle as the Spider-Man newspaper, only if there's something important. So he's not going to buy his pictures. And we also kind of get this moment with J. Jonah Jameson, who is trying to restart this other magazine, this like rival magazine, and he's trying to convince Peter to sell his pictures to him. After that, we see Otto Octavius. He is in a shrink's office in the prison that he's being held in, and it looks like they're making some progress with his mental health and kind of rehabilitating him, and he has a nightmare, and when he wakes up, after his session, he goes back to his cell and he has a nightmare. When he wakes up, he sees a spider above his head, and it kind of sends him back into his spiral, thinking about his arch nemesis Spider-Man. And this really kind of cool scene happens where we see him kind of going crazy, and his mind is running, and his mechanical arms are in a facility like somewhere else in New York, and they actually reactivate because they're still connected neurally to his mind. Mm-hmm. So this kind of like crazy amount of pressure in Otto's mind has awoken his arms, and they break out of the facility they're being held in by themselves, and they rampage through New York, and they find their way back to Otto as the arms kind of swoop him up and take him away out of the facility, as Spider-Man is alerted after trying to buy a lens at a pawn shop. He hears on the radio there, so he kind of swings in and tries to stop him, but he ends up saving some of the prison guards there from like a crumbling part of the building. And we get this epilogue where Otto is deciding whether he wants to put the arms back on and take back the Dr. Octopus mantle, and we end with him kind of giving in and once again taking on the power of Dr. Octopus.
Yes. We should quickly point out this is the first issue of Web of Spider-Man by Danny Fingeroth, a new writer. Mm-hmm. It's only been 4 issues, and they've already changed writers, so not a good sign.
I really liked this one.
I didn't hate it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of nice. Again, we don't get I kind of like that we get to sit a little bit with Otto, and we don't have to have this big brawl with Spider-Man and him to kind of get more of his character. I love the idea that, like, deep down, Otto is still kind of a good guy, but he's a little bit messed up, and the arms is kind of like a vice for him. It's like an addiction. And when him and the arms kind of come back together, that's when he fully turns into this evil dude. And really deep down, it doesn't seem like he is this person, but because he kind of can't keep control of it, he always ends up turning and again being evil.
Yeah, like the thing is I real quick, I expected to hate it. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't. There's nothing wrong with the story, but I didn't glide through it the way I would hope to with like a better writer. However, I do have to say, the one thing I don't like is the characterization of Dr. Octopus as being crazy and in fear of Spider-Man. I don't think that makes for a great villain. But other than that, I definitely didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. G.I. Jolie, what were you going to say?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was just something about Dr. Octopus. I thought it was kind of neat, I guess.
Like the characterization?
Yeah, but I mean, at the root, he's just evil. Just straight up evil. Like, they had me fooled for a second that he might be good. And I was like, no, I don't think so. But also, they spent a lot of time flashing back with him, which kind of, I think, contributed to the potential clunkiness of the story. So, I liked it.
Yeah, like, I didn't hate it. Bex Luthor, what did you think of it?
You know, it's always good when they go, oh, this happened in Secret Wars. You guys remember Secret Wars, right? Like, no. I blocked that one out, actually, and thank you for reminding me. And now I need to see a shrink. I liked it. I liked the issue. I thought it was, it was a cool, like, if you had just started reading Web Of and you weren't really familiar with Spider-Man or his Rogues Gallery, it was a cool little introduction to Doc Ock, and a cool like way to set that up. And also, like, I like that there wasn't a lot of action. I like that it was just kind of a little bit of exposition and kind of make it like, because the last 3 issues of Web Of were Vulturions, right? And I don't know, I hated them.
Right.
So now we got Vulture, now we got Dr. Octopus, and we're getting back into like the meat and potatoes of Spider-Man.
Right.
And the fact that his arms go on a rampage through New York is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great.
It is a good idea, definitely.
The last panel on page 16, very like War of the Worlds-esque tripods, like just like it going, "Arrrr," and then they have the cops have a robot for some reason, and like it fails immediately, and then there's a little shield nod because they got guns, and like just the arms destroying everything just to get back to Otto. I don't know, it's very poetic.
Well, the other small change this issue is that it's drawn by the regular artist Greg LaRoque, who's always good, but it's inked by Vince Colletta, who is notoriously one of Jack Kirby's most hated inkers. I didn't hate the inking in this, but I did think it was a little bit. I can't really put it into words, but I didn't love the inking. Did anyone else notice a difference in the art this issue? Okay.
No.
No, I guess not. Okay.
Not a whole lot. I thought it was pretty serviceable to the story.
Right.
And like the type of story and action that was happening.
Okay.
Everything was really clear as well. There was never a point where during my read through of this where I had to go back and look at everything again to kind of figure out what was happening. It was all pretty straightforward. So
right.
Nothing stood out to me as like fantastic art in this issue, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, do you know what? I keep going back to the whole, like, okay, think about the characterization of Doc Ock in this one. I didn't think that I liked it. But here's a thing that you don't really get a lot of in these books is any kind of insight into their inner workings, and that the flashbacks are from his point of view. They aren't just like recaps of panels from previous pages. And the way that he talks for Spider-Man in the panels, Doc Ock's character, he's like, we know Spider-Man to be sort of fast-talking, quippy, kind of like Buffy, always making jokes, and he's kind of goofy because he's a kid. But the way that Doc Ock says the dialogue for him, it's almost like arrogant and like evil too,
right?
You know, like God, I'm trying to think of. Let's see. Oh, here.
Well, yeah.
Original 13. He's like, don't dare challenge me anymore. I won't warn you again. That never happened. Like, Spider-Man would never say that to Doc Ock, but like, and then Doc Ock is just kind of like recoiling and in agony. It's like, oh, it was really funny to see how he believes he's the victim in this scenario.
Okay, I have to point out something. I've actually went back just now to Peter Parker number 79, and his Spidey's actual dialogue is, "It's over, Octopus, and I've won again. You can have all the time you want, you can regain your strength, and even increase your power, but you'll never beat me. Never." And then Dr. Octopus says, "You were lucky this time. Fortune smiled upon you." And Spidey says, "Get real. Luck had nothing to do with it." In the flashback, it's, "Despite the fact that you are at the height of your power, I'll always find a way to beat you. You'll never win. Never. Don't dare challenge me anymore. I won't warn you again." So it is a little bit different, but it's not got quite that far off. And I think when we reviewed that original issue, I think we criticized it, didn't we?
Right. And I think, too, at the time, it's at the height of him messing with Felicia. And he's like, he's been stressing out so much about everything in his life that he finally, like, Peter had kind of finally had enough of everything. And that's when he kind of exploded on Doc Ock.
Right.
And I think that it might be also around the time where he was saying his goodbyes to everybody, if I'm not mistaken, because he thought that this was going to be his like final fight.
Right.
So yeah, I can't quite remember, but I do agree. When I read this, I also kind of got the idea that this is from his point of view. And is this extremely deep, extremely personal? No. No. It's not like it's not fantastic. But when you compare it to 2 issues before this, no, the last issue with Vulture breaking out of the prison with his secret wings under his bed, like this is really good. I really enjoy this one. Like Doc Ock has actual character rather than just being like, nah, I'll get my revenge. Like there's you really do get the sense that he is scared, and then once he's reunited with his other half, which is his arms, he's now complete, right? Like
right.
In prison he's Otto, but after the arms swoop in and save him and he puts them back on, he becomes Dr. Octopus again. So it's almost like they're 2 different characters in the way that they act. And that's why I didn't think it was necessarily out of character for me when he was like scared of spiders or Spider-Man. It's because it's almost somebody completely different.
Okay, Bex Luthor, what do you think?
The arms, they scoop them up so softly.
Yeah.
Like, just like give him a good scoop up and take him away. How romantic is that? Haven't you always wanted to just be swooped up and taken away and the arms of a handsome
metal
robot?
octopus? Yeah.
I'd love me some giant arms like this.
Right? Every night in my dreams. And every day in my daydreams, actually. Sorry.
I really like the whole, like, he's, I think Otto just has to be Doc Ock. Like, clearly in these sessions, they're like, oh, we're getting somewhere, but the moment that he's reunited with those arms, it's all just gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I really really like the panel. I don't know why it like keeps coming back to me, but on page 14, where it's like the big Spider-Man in the background and all the spiders are crawling all over him, it just like kind of got to me. I was like, it's like he's like, that's how anxiety driven he is it feel like spiders are crawling all over you. And I don't know, I've had panic attacks where that's the feeling, is spiders all over you. So it's just, I think Web-Of is going more into an interesting path than I think it started, which is exciting.
Yeah, I hope that it continues. I also think that the artist did a really great job of showing that his reality is kind of falling apart in this moment. I mean, even the panels themselves start to literally fall apart as he goes from seeing just a regular spider in the corner of the ceiling to then the like whole room like cracking open and all of these spiders pouring out. The panels themselves start to like crack and crumble too with his reality.
It's a good creative touch, absolutely. Now I know that we're looking at digital scans, but did you guys notice a difference at all in the colors? Because I believe around this time Marvel started to use a process called flexograph. I don't know if you guys noticed the difference, but it was supposed to make the colors look brighter. I don't know exactly what the difference was, but a lot of people hated it, but I never really had an issue with it. But I don't know if you guys noticed that at all.
Some of it's ugly. Like, I'm not the one to hate on stuff, but a lot of it's like puke green and like whose underground facility is bright green walls and bright green floors and like drab orange and I don't know. They're bright. They're definitely bright.
Yeah, the palette is definitely strange.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is them wanting to just play with their shiny new toy. Like, look what I can do. I can make the walls bright green. Hell yeah. Why not? We got this new technology.
And it looks muddy. Like, if you go to page 19 where, like, the arms are grabbing him, it looks like the background was colored in with, like, Crayola big fat markers. Like, it looks like a 6-year-old colored that background. Which
page?
Original 19. The page where he's scooping him up when the arms are scooping him up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
like, they colored with yellow first, and then they colored with orange.
And it's like how you would color in, like, your notes while you're not paying attention in math with a highlighter.
Yeah, you know what it looks like? It looks like all these new recolorings that we see. Like, and we'll get to it with Amazing, but like, aside from the obvious, like, redoing, inking of the panel boxes, if it weren't for the way that the color shows up against black, it would remind me, at least, of this modern recoloring that they do, which is just like the strangest color palettes, like colors that aren't even complementary, or colors that are complementary, but like, why are you using it in this scheme? Like, they should work together, but they don't work here.
Well, I think the other thing, though, is that for some reason the flexograph process brings out the dots even more. So when you're looking at, like, people's faces, it doesn't look like skin tone. It just looks like big orange dots, you know? So I don't know exactly how this process works. I just know that it's hated. Although I don't hate it as much as some people.
You said fluxograph?
No, flexo. Flexo. Flexographic.
That doesn't sound 80s at all.
I was just gonna say, that sounds like like flexographic, dude.
Yeah, isn't that like a robot from Futurama, Flexo?
Right.
Something that Mikey would say from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
So yeah, overall, this issue, again, I expected to really dislike it, but I was surprised how much I liked it. However, I do think, to be honest, I do think the Louise Simonson issues flowed better. But I was getting tired of the Vulturians and the frickin' hat plot, so I'm glad we're finally onto something new. And the good news is Danny Fingeroth will be on for at least another year or so. So We've got some more stories coming from him. So yeah, this is right around, this is the beginning of the I mean, I've said this probably 6 times on the show, but this is the beginning of the really, really, really classic era for Spider-Man for me. So I recommend this issue. Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I definitely recommend this issue. I think it might be my favorite of the 3 this week.
All right. Okay, G.I. Jolie.
I recommend it for sure. I liked it. I was surprised at how good it was. I definitely implore you to check out that sweet ass pinup of Spider-Man in the dark. That's the very first page. That is the sexiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's good.
I was thinking, like, why isn't this the cover? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the cover is nice this issue, but this is just so cool.
Yeah,
Yep,
I mean, it's
I
not
agree.
the sexiest thing I've ever seen, but like graphically, I am living.
It looks good in person too. I actually have this one.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. So do I actually. Yeah.
It's a good Spidey for
So
sure.
do you recommend it, Becca?
Yeah, there's a great moment where Peter calls all of the goons cuties, right? So
Right.
10 out of 10 gay moments for me.
Okay. Okay, so a recommendation from all of us. All right, now we are going to move on to my favorite of the week, but you probably guessed that. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 266, and despite the fact that Peter David debuted on Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, he's already jumped over to Amazing Spider-Man, so I can only assume that Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz needed a break. But anyway, we've got this great cover here with black costume Spidey separating the Toad and... is it Frogman? Yeah, Frogman. Right? From each other. And at the bottom, we've got a title here, a little play on the old Stan Lee titles, This Man, This Frog, which I love. Anyway.
So stupid.
Very serious.
I got to point out, this issue was drawn by our pal, Sal Buscema, which we'll talk about later. And basically, the plot is, it starts off with Toad, the classic villain from the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, better known as, what's his real name, Mortimer... something.
I can't remember his last name. I don't know if they say it in this one.
Yeah, I
They
don't
just
think
say
it's-
come Mortimer.
Right. So he's threatening to jump off of a building. There's a bunch of people on the ground egging him on to jump, and he does actually leap, but then Spider-Man rescues him. So then the Toad feels indebted to Spider-Man for rescuing him, so he decides that, well, that's it. I'm gonna become your partner. Okay. So yeah, hilarity ensues. Spider-Man swings away and has an encounter with Black Cat, which is at first confusing, but then there's a little caption that says this takes place before Peter Parker number 100, so that explains that. So they have kind of one of their typical exchanges, and then we cut over to another scene where there's basically like is it a jewelry store? Heist?
It's a magazine store.
A magazine
It's a comic book shop, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he just-
assume
Oh, it is a
so.
comic book shop. You're right. Bert's
calls.
magazines.
Bert's, yeah.
And so Spider-Man comes in to save the day, and of course his new partner, the Toad, joins him. So the Toad jumps on one of the goons, and then Spider-Man has one of his kind of the similar conversations that he had with the Spectacular Spider-Kid, trying to like lecture him, like, okay, look, this isn't gonna work out. And he's like, so basically he's trying to discourage him from being his partner, but he can't get rid of him. So meanwhile, on the TV, someone else is watching who's pissed off, and it's none other than the fabulous Frogman, who's now jealous that someone else is kind of stealing his thunder, right? So Spider-Man goes about his day, and he's like swinging around. He runs into the Toad again, and now this is where he's officially offering to be his partner. Spider-Man wants nothing to do with him, and so Spider-Man eventually shakes him, and the Toad, as he's going along, he's kind of talking out loud. He's like, once I was grateful for any attention someone gave me, even the shabby treatment I received as Magneto's flunkies. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, I, the Toad, and... Oh, sorry, I'm trying to find the part where he gives away his plan. Oh, tomorrow at the docks then, 7 a.m., and you'll see just how much you need the Toad. And someone else is listening in, and it's what's his name? the Frogman, right? Mm-hmm. And so then we cut over to Josie's Bar and Grill, and the Toad goes in, and he's got the scheme going. He's gonna get all these toughs in this bar to go to the docks. Wait, what does he say here? He's like, we'll meet Spider-Man tomorrow at 7 a.m. at the waterfront. And he's basically convincing them all to go there to go kick his ass. Mm-hmm. And his secret plan is that he's going to go and, protect Spider-Man, and that'll trick Spider-Man into taking him on as his partner, right? But someone else has been listening in, and it's the Toad, or it's the Frogman. And so he comes in, and they start arguing, and basically the Toad walks away, and as the Toad's walking away, Frogman's like, Viper! Spidey's harboring a viper in his bosom. And as long as he is, he'll need the help of Eugene Colorito. And just then, a little dog walks up, and we see the dog off, and then the dog's off panel now as he's talking. He's like, the fabulous frog, huh? Thanks a lot, dog. Thanks a whole lot. And we see that the dog has, of course, shit on his shoe. But it's it's implied, but we can tell that's what it is, right?
Yeah, good boy.
Yeah. So then Peter Parker goes back home, and he's going up on his roof. I don't know why he's going up there.
Just to get some air.
Yeah, to get some fresh air. But that's usually where he would climb out as Spider-Man. But he doesn't realize that, it's actually one of his neighbors, Bambi, of the infamous trio Candy, Randy, and Bambi. And so they go up and they start chatting it up. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is going about his business, and he ends up going down to the docks. I don't remember, why is he actually going to the docks? Does he give a reason?
He plans to meet Toad there.
Just to talk to him, right? But Toad is
they're gonna
set
go
up
get
all these
breakfast.
guys to come, right?
Yeah.
And so Spider-Man shows up, the Toad shows up, then Frogman shows up, and then we get this was supposed to be a visual gag. It doesn't really work, but there's a crowd of guys. They all do show up, but we're supposed to see at a glance that they're all hungover. I don't know how you can tell that just by looking at them for one split second, but they're all hungover. So they're all kind of useless, so they're not going to be able to beat up Spider-Man. But they do all have guns on them, so they pull their guns and they start shooting, and Spider-Man's dodging bullets. Meanwhile, Frogman and Toad are they're actually fighting, and Toad is leaping on Frogman. Frogman's kicking him away, and then we get a really good scene where Toad is running towards Frogman. He's like, hear that, Frogman? Spider-Man's concerned for you. As well he should be. Make your move, boy. I'm ready for anything. And then Frogman ducks, and Toad's like, accept that. And he just sails over him. I thought that was awesome. Mm-hmm. Smashes into like a store window. And of course it's an exotic pet store. So all these wild frogs get released. Anyway, it's awesome. So yeah, so then meanwhile Toad and Frogman are still fighting. Spider-Man is trying to defend himself. So there's all these thugs around. One of them pulls a gun, but of course one of the frogs leaps onto the gun, and the guy's like, "Oh, ick!" and then drops the gun. Spider-Man comes in, knocks him out. Frog and Toad are... I'm just gonna call them Frog and Toad. Frog and Toad are still fighting, but then all of a sudden, someone else enters the fray. It's the spectacular Spider Kid. So then he comes in. All three of them are fighting. Chaos ensues. They all end up on top of each other, and despite all of Spider-Man's efforts, they decide to form their own team because Spider-Man doesn't want any of them to be his partner, so they decide to form their own team, the Misfits. So now they're going to be their own team of heroes. So that's it. They kind of ride off into the sunset, and Spider-Man's like, great, just great. I can think of more appropriate names like... And then we get this really weird ending with three different logos with their own unique fonts. The All Wiener Squad, the Oi Team, the Spastic 3. And then Spider-Man's like, yeesh, the way this day has started. And then it cuts over back to the rooftop. He goes up again to visit Bambi. And then we get this nice little promise of a budding romance where they share... Is it a sunrise or a sunset?
I believe it's a sunrise.
Sunrise. They share a sunrise together. And Peter Parker's like, Bambi, my friend? Oh, she's like,
maybe it's sunset? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a sunset.
Yeah, she's like, sunsets
this
are nice
all one
too.
day.
Yeah, the clouds always look like fiery cotton or angry dragons. What do you see when you look at clouds, Peter? And she's like, Bambi, my friend, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And we see the outline of Spider-Man's costume in the clouds, in the sky. It's awesome. The end.
Could you imagine if he told her that? She's like, what do you see? And he's like, I see Spider-Man. She's like, what?
Huh?
What are you talking about? You're crazy. Don't touch me.
And not only is this my favorite Spider-Man comic of the month, it's my favorite Spider-Man comic of the past 26 weeks. But anyway. Okay. So yeah, needless to say, I loved it.
It's so goofy.
Yeah, it is goofy. It's awesome. And I must say that the big improvement from Peter Parker to this one is the art by our pal, Sal Buscema. Because it's just straight ahead classic Marvel art, and his storytelling is so good. And even though he's not really a comedy artist, I think it fits it perfectly. It just makes all the gags work, and I think that's what puts it over the top for me. So yeah, this run, like Peter David is one of the reasons I became obsessed with Spider-Man when I was a youngster, and so I obviously love this issue. Bex Luthor, what did you think of it?
I like frogs.
Okay.
You don't understand. I love frogs. Like, probably way too much. Like, I follow way too many frogs on Instagram. I'm part of a Facebook group called Frog Spotting, where all we do is post pictures of frogs and we talk about the frogs that we like.
What?
You don't understand. I'm actually, like, super obsessed with frogs. And
I didn't know this.
It's been a secret. I kept it a secret my whole life.
Confirm frog girl. Confirm
Yes.
frog girl.
Confirm frog girl.
I love this issue so much. I, like, took screen caps of it, and I have them saved on my phone just in case I need them for anything. When you
When you're in a pinch.
When he's like standing there and the frog's on his head and he's like, thanks, frog. I said that to my sister so that we could enjoy it together.
Oh my god.
I love this issue so much. Like, I had a rough day at work and I was just like going through it and I'm like, look at all these fun little frogs. Look at them go. It made me so happy. It was good. And we read a lot of garbage sometimes. And sometimes it's just nice to read something that's dumb and doesn't matter at all, but is fun and written well and drawn well.
Right. Go ahead.
I do like how Peter just like younces though off the roof. He's like, "Oh, beautiful blonde woman in a ball gown on the roof. I gotta go see frogs."
Right.
Me too, Peter. I loved it so much. It was charming. It had that like very nostalgic old Marvel charm. I appreciated a lot of it.
Right.
I wish Black Cat wasn't in it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of a throwback to a previous
It shocked
era,
me.
But did it need to be a throwback?
Yeah, you're right. It's like I guess they had to have that in there to explain why it's been a few weeks, but really they could have done it any other way, right? They didn't need to have that.
Unless the implication is that this is another reason why Peter is shitty to her, is that he's kind of meeting Bambi up on the roof.
No,
Right.
this is
No.
no.
Okay, I don't know.
Everything that happened after Black Cat is present day.
Oh, well,
because
okay.
before that, it like when Toad jumps off the roof, that's like issues before that happened, like issues before when he was still seeing Black Cat, and he goes to jail and he gets help, and then after like weeks later, he gets out of jail and yeah,
'cause it
joins
says,
up with Spider-Man.
Yeah, it says, on that slightly sinister note, we go to several weeks later, starting with the holdup. Mm-hmm. So that's present day, yeah.
I wouldn't put it past Peter to see multiple women at the same time.
Yeah, because he's done it before.
But I think he's off the hook for this once.
Right.
Okay.
He does tell Bambi he doesn't have a girlfriend. That doesn't mean he's not lying, though.
That's true.
Right.
That's the thing, is that, like, you know what? I know that I wouldn't put it past him to see multiple women, but I don't think he would lie. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of confused because I didn't know where the flashback ended. I just assumed they set up a flashback and they just stayed in the past. But
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, because he was still in the black costume.
Which, like, it could have just been all in current. Like, it didn't have to be like, oh, he tried to jump off the roof 3 weeks ago, and then he broke up with Black Cat, and now it's after that. Like, why couldn't it have all just been after that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made it a little bit of a muddy, like, flashback, but not really. Now we're in the present time. Like,
Okay, yeah.
they just had to shove in Black Cat in there. Be like, oh, remember these? Remember this? Yes, I remember.
Yeah, it was
there.
I'm trying to forget.
I'm just trying to reason away, like, just all of the proof that makes Peter less of a piece of shit. So that is explainable. But come on, you're on the roof with, like, you know, a girl. And she asks you what you see in the clouds, and you see yourself. So yeah, about that.
Josh.
I always love these endings. Oh, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. But, like, they're still on the roof together. She's like, oh, well, what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Right?
it's like, it doesn't, their lives just don't end because the comic's over.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, once that ends, it's like, okay, you didn't answer my question, Peter.
Yeah.
And he could actually just be like, oh, that cloud kind of looks like Spider-Man, and she wouldn't be any wiser.
Right. Good point.
So, like, she knows.
But,
Wouldn't
you know,
it
they
be
gotta
funnier if it was a frog?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, that's a much funnier ending. That's a better way to.
She should have seen frogs in the clouds.
Yeah. And then
Right.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Oh, that would have been so much better. Okay. I'm here for all the Van Halen jokes.
Yes. Well, see, that's the thing is, when I was a kid, I subconsciously knew comic book dialogue was not great. But Peter David was the first guy to make pop culture references. And so, yeah, that's one of his things, right? It's just dropping, like, a reference to Van Halen, which makes perfect sense. I mean, unfortunately, pop culture references are kind of overdone nowadays, but back then, it was unheard of in a comic book, you know? So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and Ike, Jump is Van Halen.
Yes.
What it I don't think that Spring is in the Air is a song. It probably is. But I also enjoy that he's making puns on, like, two different levels. They're potentially song titles, and also Jump for My Love or Spring is in the Air, like frog puns.
Right.
It's so ridiculous. So ridiculous.
Well,
So-
you know... Oh, go ahead, Becca.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what happened in between Toad being in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and now?
That's a great question. And
How
I was
did we
wondering,
get here?
Yeah, like, he... you know, that's the other thing. Even when Toad showed up in the X-Men movie, I think everyone was like, Toad? Like, we haven't seen him in, like, 36 years. Like, I have no idea what he did since X-Men number 4, you know? So, good question. I have no idea. I'll try to look it up as we chat.
Well, they just needed Ray Park to do something
Yeah.
where he didn't say a whole lot. Also,
Right.
there needed to be a lightning pun. That's all I remember
That's
about
true,
that
that's
movie.
true.
Yeah, Storm's line about.
What happens when a frog gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
It's so
Grown.
dumb. Oh,
Grown.
man.
Josh,
yeah.
yeah, what's your take?
I had a lot of fun with this one. It is very goofy, a fun standalone comic. Again, like, nothing changes by the end of it, but it's okay because the story was good, right? Like, there's a reason, like, things actually happen for a reason. I love that the news picks up Spidey and Toad, and, you know, the frog ends up seeing this on the news and wants to kind of, like, kick Toad out of his spot. And the idea that these three, like, sidekicks end up forming a team. I don't know if this was on the podcast or if we talked about it afterwards, but I was just talking about how I want Leapfrog and the Spectacular Spider Kid to make form a team. I was just saying this.
Well,
So,
if this wasn't
I
a
was very happy.
36-year-old story, I would say that, you know, you were psychic, but...
Right, maybe it was subconscious that I had, like, and maybe a long time ago I had read this one and just kind of subconsciously had it in my mind already, but yeah.
But it's also, yeah, it's inevitable, right?
Right. And I really like Leapfrog or the Frog, Frogman. He's super fun. I love that it's like this kid and he's trying to like reclaim this character that was a villain to kind of save his dad's name. Like, it's so fun. And
Yes.
the fact that he's like a kid always getting into trouble and kind of messing things up for Spider-Man is great. And then adding Toad on top of it. Yeah, this was a super fun comic.
Yes, yes.
Okay, what's up with Toad's costume though?
What do you mean?
It's always looked like that.
Yeah, it's so. I didn't really think about it until now. It's like he's got like elf shoes on, but also like a jester frill.
Right.
Yeah, it's very medieval.
It's
Yeah,
very
like-
strange.
That's the way, if you go back to the old Jack Kirby comics, that's the way he looked. Yeah, it was like nothing like in the movie.
Yeah,
So.
and he doesn't have any other Toad powers, huh?
No, the
He's
whole
just
tongue
jumping.
thing, that's all from the movie. Yeah, I think he could just jump.
Yeah, he has the tongue thing now. Like they.
Right.
Like,
They've retconned it.
Yes.
Because they had to make him more interesting.
Yeah, I get that. He's not very evil. I mean, even if he did more evil things, it's just like it's kind of this short little guy that can jump good.
Yeah.
So-
And he was also
He's on the
kicked around a
Brotherhood
lot
of
by
Evil. Love that.
Magneto. Like, he was just, that's just his thing. He was just kind of,
Right, yeah,
You
he's
know.
kind of like the LeFou character, which I guess makes sense with the whole jester getup.
right.
But I mean, he is attempting suicide at the beginning. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
sure.
little sad.
It is. Well, also in the description of his character that I just looked up, it said that, like, when it skipped ahead to this issue, they're like, later, Toad became despondent again and tried to commit suicide. So I guess this is like a common thing.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, poor buddy.
It's also kind of sad that like the way he's committing suicide is like with his mutant power,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
and like they're egging him on to jump because he's
Sad,
a
yeah.
mutant, or at least
Right.
that's what I got out of it. Is the he's
I
like
don't
this.
think they know he's the Toad, do they? I just think they think he's some guy.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Makes it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not that, you know, him being a mutant would be like, oh, jump, you're a mutant who worked with Magneto. Yeah, you should kill yourself. Like,
No.
not that I'm condoning that, but like, they're just telling this guy to jump.
I think that the guy that's
Unprompted.
screaming at him does know because after Spider-Man saves him, he drops him off at the police, and that guy runs up and says, "Yeah, one freak saved by another." So
Okay.
yeah, I think that he knows that this is Toad and that he's a mutant.
Good for Toad. People know who he is.
Yeah, everybody else in the crowd's like, "Who's that?"
That one guy's like, that's Toad from
That's
the Brotherhood
Toad.
of Evil Mutants.
Yeah.
From issue
He
number
pushes up his
whatever.
glasses. That's Toad.
How could you not know?
Yeah, do you know what? It's also kind of horrible. I mean, if we need to have a serious chat about it, if you're thinking about suicide, please call.
Yes.
Please reach out to somebody. If somebody's listening and somebody wants to help you. I think it's terrible that they made a joke out of it. I mean, or that it could have been made that it was made to be a joke, and then later it was made to be more of a joke. When Spidey is like, I should have just pushed him.
Yeah. That I agree. I didn't find it funny or like think that they were making a joke out of it when it was happening, but then when
Yeah.
Spidey made that comment, I was just like, ugh, it really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. And it's like, now I don't think that they would make a joke that tasteless. And I'm really
Yeah.
thankful for that kind of change. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's really important for anyone listening that, like, we don't think that that's funny. I don't support
No.
that second joke. Suicide is real. Mental health is a very, very real thing that we need to, keep in check, and we're here. But anyway, I don't want to get super serious on you guys, but we do have another butt for the tally.
Are you talking about Frogman's butt?
Because I'm talking about Frogman's butt.
Well, I was going to say Frogman's butt, but I think we get half a cheek. I don't know. I can't tell. Original 4, during the Black Cat scene, we kind of get a backside from Peter.
Oh, there's a bit of a butt. Yeah, I see the butt.
I mean, the inking is not great on the butt, but I'm just, it was the most prominent of the butts.
See, if we go down to page 17...
Yay! That's what I'm talking about.
We get full Frogman ass.
That's fine. I'm into that.
The whole panel, like the last panel there, like the only part of Frogman you do see is the butt.
Yeah. That's a good butt.
And then you go to 18 and there's also a panel where it's his butt.
Yeah.
That makes up for the shitty butt that we get on page 4.
Maybe Frogman is just butt.
I'm so happy to see the springs on the bottom of Frogman's shoes.
How else is he supposed to jump good? Got moon shoes.
I thought he had I'm not familiar with Frogman, so I didn't know that it wasn't...
His dad made the suit.
Yeah, a mutant power. Oh, anyway.
So...
I just love how many little frogs there are. Like, the details, like... Not just to talk about frogs, but also the art. Like, if you'll look, like, page 18 and even, where else was it? Page 21, there's, like, little teeny tiny frogs all over the place, like, all over the ground, like, little just gestures of frogs. To just let you know that there's a lot of frogs here. And, like, they're underneath the spider kid, they're on the ground on page 20, like, hopping around.
Whoa.
It's great.
On page 22, when they're all standing there, there's like little gestures of frogs, like where it's drawn without picking your pen up off the paper, like just the bare whisper of frogs, and they're all just like sitting there intently listening.
We'll see.
I love that even afterwards, like the three of them have like tripped over themselves and landed in a pile, and there's still frogs jumping all over them.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
They're so cute too. They're drawn so cute. I love them.
So here's the thing is, and this is what separates, I think, a good comic from a great one, is that you have a character who's frog themed, right? He meets another character who's frog themed. It opens
Toad.
up with him jumping, like threatening to jump, which is frog themed or toad themed. Then we have them smash through an exotic pet store that releases a bunch of frogs. Like, it took a little bit of extra effort to organize the story into a way that it all kind of fits together. So I don't know. I just think that's part of what makes this comic so good,
Yeah, it's very charming.
Yes.
Yeah, the humor is charming. I love the humor in this one. It's not heavy-handed.
Right.
The fact that the frog jumps on his gun and he's like, ugh, frog. I love that. It's so funny. That's so funny. Could you imagine like an MCU movie where like he's fighting somebody and like someone puts a gun out, Tony Stark, and a frog jumps on him and he goes, ew, gross. It's a frog.
Right, exactly.
I would love that. That would be my favorite scene.
That's what I mean is, it's like, it's unpredictable. Like, you wouldn't expect to have that extra step of thought put into the way things happen. It's unpredictable. That's why I like it. So, obviously, I recommend this comic. It's one of my, this is Peter David's second issue, and already it's one of my favorite issues we've done so far. Bex Luthor, would you recommend it?
Yeah, I like the frogs.
Okay.
100 out of 10 frogs. 1,000 out of 10 frogs.
Woo, all right.
Maybe skip the suicide joke, though.
Okay.
That's not cool. For as lighthearted as this issue is, it starts off pretty not. So maybe they could redo this one in a modern sense where it's just frogs, and the joke is that there's frogs.
Okay.
Instead of the joke is that a man was gonna jump to his death. Wait, so Toad can jump a lot, like high, and he could land presumably. So would he have gotten hurt?
I was thinking the same thing.
That's kind of what makes it funny. Yeah.
But he did say the 15th floor. So like it could have just been super high. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because, like, when the frog is chasing Spider-Man, or when Toad is chasing Spider-Man, he's jumping up on buildings and stuff. I have questions about the lore of this issue.
The lore.
Sorry, I'm just trying to look up to
Josh,
see if there's any Frogman cosplays.
Jolie, do you recommend
You're just gonna
this
get
issue?
Froppy from My Hero Academia.
Yeah. Do I recommend it? Yeah, of course. It's hilarious. Also, any wiener or any fans of fonts made out of food, the words all wiener is made out of all wieners. 10 out of 10.
Awesome. It's great. Again, like something you never see, but anyway.
Or like you do see, but not in this context, which is really
Right.
weird because you'd think you see it in comic book more often, but you don't. But you'd
Right.
see it in like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. It's
Right.
so dumb. 10 out of 10 for the Van Halen references.
Yep.
Like the cop is like, settle down, Van Halen, to somebody on the street. Like, that's how I speak to people. I'm not a cop.
Yeah, like this is a comic I could read over and over again. Joshua Mervell, do you recommend it?
Yeah, I recommend this one. It's a fun, light read that you can kind of just jump in and read without having any prior knowledge to really anything.
Right. Yep, exactly. It's like, I think Wizard Magazine once said, there is nothing better than a good Spider-Man story. Nothing. And I agree with that. And this issue is proof. But anyway, okay. So now we're going to jump.
There
into
are
the
Frogman
next
cosplayers out there. Just
Oh.
want to let everybody know.
Ooh.
I know what I'm doing.
I know. I'm thinking like how I'd
How do
really
you
like.
make this sexy?
Okay, so you know what? If we all went or as cosplaying this story, that would be awesome because at least 3 people would get the reference.
Right.
It would
Us
be
getting
worth
it doesn't count, though.
What's that?
If us being the 3 people, it doesn't count
Oh,
as getting the reference. I do want to say, though, the Frogman and Leapfrog are both in Spider-Man Unlimited that Runner out game.
Oh, okay.
really?
Yeah.
Is there another skin for like Toad in that game where he's dressed up as Black Cat or?
You know, I'd have to look.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we could just cosplay as Black Cat, but like that one.
Yeah. I'd look more like the Toad version of Black Cat.
No!
I love it. It looks like a Dr. Seuss version of a character. Like I can't describe. I don't know how to describe.
Peter's face in that panel, so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great expressions and poses of Spider-Man in this issue.
Oh, yeah, I could talk about the art all day long.
Yeah.
Like, we'd never forget, Sal, our pal Sal is one of the Marvel greats. He's still alive, by
Oh,
the
yeah.
way. So there's
yeah.
still, he's on my bucket list, like, of people who I'd love to interview, you know?
I was like, up to kill?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Push
We
off a
talked about?
building? Yeah. No, like, he's still around. I think, unfortunately, he might only do inks, but I think the last thing he did was Spider-Girl was his last regular assignment, and then he might have done, like, a couple Superman stories since then, but he's just so classic. I don't really like the inks this issue by Joe Rubinstein, but I can tolerate it because Sal Buscema's so good. So yeah, Josh, did you say you recommend this one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a recommend.
So, I mean, hey, I could talk about this all night, but we do have one more comic to review.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, number 104. Featuring the Rocket Racer. So who is going to summarize this one? Becca?
I'm
or
just so shocked that it's not, like, produced by the DARE program or something.
the Dare? What's that?
You don't know what DARE is?
No, what is it?
No, you wouldn't know what DARE is. DARE was, it was an drug crime
Oh,
thing
yes.
back in, like, the 90s. What did it
Okay.
stand for?
I'm very surprised you wouldn't know Dare Canada, the
Yeah,
drug abuse resistance
resistance.
education. So
Yeah.
it was part of the war on. It started, I think, as part of the war on drugs.
Huh.
And it's
And,
evolved obviously into something else much better now. But
Yeah, and in the 90s, it was the biggest joke in the world and it didn't work.
Oh, okay.
So like you would be forced to sit down and watch all these like dare programs of these cool hip teens telling you not to do drugs, and it like made you want to do drugs and commit crimes.
Yeah.
It was counterproductive.
Yeah, and they had like really weird ads in like Sassy magazine and 17 magazine that would be like a kid sitting against a brick wall with like a mullet and one of those windbreakers on, and they just like look tired, and it would have some stupid catchphrase like, "Don't do drugs." Like drugs are for losers. Like it just really dumb stuff that you're like, wow, this is terrible.
And there's a good YouTube, like this guy I watch on YouTube named Eddie Burback. He does a really good like synopsis of it all. But it's like they would give you a Dare T-shirt and you'd have to write your name on it, and that would be like your contract to not do drugs. And if you like upheld the contract to not do drugs, at the end of the year there'd be like a pizza party, and it always sucked. It was bad pizza.
Yeah.
That's my experience with Dare, is bad pizza. But anyway, so this comic just is brought to you by Dare. Don't do drugs and get into crime, kids. It's not worth it, I promise. So
is Dare the ones that made the "This is your brain on drugs" commercial?
No.
Maybe.
But that is a great commercial. Let's all be clear.
Is it? I like how I type "This is your brain on drugs" and it just meme fills out the whole thing. That's not what.
Yeah, it's like such a cultural like icon now, that commercial.
Right. Oh,
everybody.
It was, even when it was on, it was an icon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one was the PDFA, which is the Partnership for a Drug-Free America, launched in 1987. Again, part of the war on drugs that should have never happened.
Yeah. Anyway, back to what's a skateboard boy? Rocket Racer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who I had never heard of before.
Really?
Why? You shocked?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I thought everyone knew the Rocket Racer.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Is this sarcasm?
Yeah,
No,
I understand.
well, semi.
Keep your semis to yourself, okay?
Oh.
Sorry, you can cut that. No, you can't. This is a podcast. Shit.
It's too late. We already got
live.
the explicit tag.
Sick. Okay, cool. So Spider-Man runs into Rocket Racer, apparently, because there's an explosion and he's robbing a bank. He's got a bag full of money, so I'm assuming it's a bank.
Yeah.
And they get into a little tussle, and the money goes everywhere. And then it turns out that Rocket Racer is getting money for a bounty hunter, a man with a gun who's chasing him. And at least I got like right off the bat that Rocket Racer is like he's a young lad. So I was like, oh Jesus, what's happening? So then there's a bounty hunter with a gun after him, and he shoots him, and Spider-Man's like, whoa, what's going on here? And he shows him his paperwork. And he's like, yeah, I got a warrant. And Peter's like, you got a warrant to kill him? Like, that doesn't seem right.
Right.
So eventually, like, he gets lost, like, in the shuffle, I guess, of their fight. What, I don't remember. Oh, he gets knocked out. Right. Is like phosphor flare. I don't know. He gets knocked out. And then he wakes up and they're both gone. Like, Rocket Racer is trying to hide from this bounty hunter guy. So Peter goes to the Bugle, and everything's on the internet now, so he can just Google a Rocket Racer and find all the information that he needs.
But it's not quite the internet, right? It's like just
I think
on
it's
a computer.
News archives.
I think
right?
it's a microfiche.
Yeah, it's not like a computer. It's just like an archive of all of the news reports that just on like digitally kind of indexed or whatever, and it's all like Game Boy green and black.
Right.
Like 80s tech style, which I thought was cool that they've mentioned like, oh, he doesn't have to spend hours searching in the Bugle anymore. So he goes and he's asking, and then we get a really fun side segment where we just figure out what a bail bondsman is, which is my favorite part about Spider-Man comics, is learning about legislature and the U.S. legal system. So that after that, Spider-Man's like, oh, well, clearly this guy's like scummy, like bail bondsmen. They're profiting off of people's pain. So he goes to Rocket Racer's family's house, which he finds immediately. And he goes to the family. He's like, no, I want to help him. So they tell him where he's going to be. Peter finds him, and the bounty hunter also finds him at the same time. And then, so Peter helps him escape. And then he vows he's going to turn himself in, and he vows to never do crime again. Because crime is bad, and it doesn't pay.
Right.
Even though it would if a man with a gun wasn't chasing you.
Right. So, yeah. G.I. Julie, let's start out with you. What did you think of this issue?
I give it a 10 out of 10 for the lessons learned, for why the whole system, the whole the whole jail system, the bail bond system, that's all corrupt. And I feel like this is like the best the best way to advocate for that. No, this issue is fucking horrible.
That's bad.
Otherwise, this issue, yes, okay, it was really, really, really terrible. But there were things inside this issue that were important. Like sort of time capsules. It really is important for people, privileged people like Peter Parker, to know how big of a scam the whole bail bondsman system is.
Right.
And I'm actually really shocked that they put that in this comic. I had watched a video the other day from not Stephen Colbert, glasses, British,
John Oliver.
Yeah.
yes, and it's like this is like a social issue that really needs some light shed on it. And again, people who claim that comics have no place are no place for social justice warriors to trumpet their agendas. Look at what's happening in this comic. They're shedding light on the corruption of the bail bondsman system. I didn't expect that. So
Right.
while this book was really terrible, that was cool. Also, Peter in an archive looking at microfiche of articles. I haven't done that since I was like 10. Like, it's crazy. Like seeing stuff like that. Let's see. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this. It's a tragedy that the book is garbage. But yeah, I mean, just off the top of my head, those are the two things that I can name that I feel are just like kind of significant about this book and are gonna get lost to the annals of time because it's not good.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's garbage at all. I didn't love it, but Bill Mantlo did a really long run on Spectacular, and now he's back for a couple issues anyway. And he was actually really good at doing sort of crime comics with Ed Hannigan for a while there. His stories don't flow as nicely as, Tom DeFalco's or Peter David's, but I mean, other than the fact that this is probably a little bit beyond his... I mean, besides the fact that he did go on to become a lawyer, at this point he was probably too young and a little naive to handle this topic, but I do appreciate the fact that he tried. And I mean, because I didn't know anything about bail bondsmen until I saw Jackie Brown, so it was cool to see this issue explore that. And also, I gotta point out, I thought the art was really good in this issue. I don't know if you guys thought so, but I thought it was great.
I thought it was pretty good, and then there were times where it felt very sloppy.
The part where he's looking in the computers, I don't know what happened, but
my
if you
God.
go to original...
That's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Digital page 13, we have an established shot of a building. We have, like, the overhead lights on the filing cabinets. Cool. Then we have a bunch of newspapers floating in thin air. Then we have him... Like, this is amateur. The way it's drawn, it looks like he's sitting on top of the line that's the top of the filing cabinet. But obviously he's up against the wall. but it's so poorly done that, what's that called, Jolie? Like a tangent line? Like the top of the filing cabinet. Oh, you know, Josh, too. You're a freaking animator. The top of the filing cabinet is like the bottom of his feet in the chair. Like that's terrible composition. And
then the next page, like original 13, this like lighting on Peter's face is terrifying. It's so awful. This weird shadow under his lip too makes it look like he's got buck teeth.
Like a shadow mustache? I love the shadow
No, the shadow mustache is fun, but like underneath the mustache there's like two like lighter shadows under like in between his lips, and it looks like buck teeth.
It kind of looks like
Peter's eyeliner is popping.
Yeah.
I think it's overdone, but I don't hate it. I think it's clear, maybe this guy, like, apparently he has done a lot after this. He was probably young, but it's clear that he's really talented, but he's probably just working out the kinks of his style. But I still think the art's really good.
Yeah, I think when there's, like, close-ups... Sorry, Jolie.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Oh. I think when there's close-ups, it works, the art. When the panels get really tiny and the characters are small, everything gets muddied, and it's not because detail is missing, because that's completely understandable, right? Like, the smaller you make things, obviously the less detail you can put in, and the less detail that's needed, but it just kind of gets sloppy, I find.
Right.
Rather than simple. I mean, I actually noted too, like, on the last page, original 22, Spider-Man, when he's like look in the middle bottom panel, when he's looking at Speed Racer or whatever his name is, he
Rocket
looks
Racer.
like the Spooderman meme.
Yeah, he does look like Spooderman.
It looks like
Scooterman? I
Spooderman.
know who that is. Hold on.
Oh, maybe don't Google that one.
Scooterman.
Spooderman. It's like
Spooder.
Spooder.
M-A-N. No space, Spooderman.
No space. No.
Spooderman.
No hyphen.
Spooter.
D-E-R. It's Spider-Man, but instead of an I, there's two O's.
Oh.
Yeah.
What happens when you Google that? I'm curious too.
So it's again, I think that I think that when it's like full body or like full on drawing, some of the close-ups of the face are very well done. Like even on this last page, like the top right panel is great. It's very the detail on the face is fantastic. And then again, it's like when things start getting quick, it gets very messy and everything is kind of just everywhere. So there's definitely moments where the art shines, though. I will say that.
21, where you see the bounty hunter falling backwards, and it's a long panel from left to right. I love it. And then you get 19, where we get another butt for the tally. Racer is sprawled on the floor, and the angle, the viewer is behind him, almost like, and his foot is up against what you would consider, I guess, the screen, our faces. I love that angle. One, we get a butt. Two, we get that's not a Dutch angle, but like, we get an angle we rarely see in comics, and this guy is a great artist. Maybe he's just not like, maybe he hadn't been doing comics often, but there's definitely talent.
Skill, right.
Or it's just potentially that like some of the pages had to be rushed, right? And your first draft is like, cool, let's go. It's on the page.
Yeah, and like sometimes you thumbnail something that looks really cool, and then you draw it out and you fall in love with it, and you can tell that there's a couple panels where this guy took the time. Because the poses are dynamic.
Yeah, like even on 19, like the way sometimes the layout of the panel is fantastic too. Like what you were saying with him laying down, it really tells a story. You can see that he's down, but he's still like he's pushing himself because he's looking at what's happening to Spider-Man because it's kind of his fault. And then the bottom left of this page, we kind of see him in the bottom corner lifting himself back up onto his skateboard, and the tires kind of like are stacked up behind him, and it doesn't seem super important, but it gives space for the dialogue and like the inner monologue to happen. And then later on, when he blasts off, it makes for this really dynamic, fun panel where he's like flying towards the camera, and all of the tires that were stacked up behind him are now like flying and like being blasted away. And there's some really fun dynamic stuff here. And when the art works, it works.
Becca, did you say if you enjoyed this one?
I did. I like Rocket Racer. I think, like, young black kid, mom had medical bills, had turned to crime to pay for them, like, and then got in too deep over his head. And he's also, like, very, very smart. He's, like, Peter mentions that, like, this kid is kind of him. Like, super, super smart, loves his family, but it just, instead of being like Peter and being a little more privileged and going to university and all this stuff, he turned to crime. So it's like that could have easily been Peter, right? I think some of it, like when they're at the Bugle and they're learning about bail bondsmen,
right?
Maybe we could have condensed that a little bit more.
Right.
It does kind of slow everything down because I want to follow Rocket Racer. I want to like where did it go? Like what's going on? Like the panel where Peter is sitting down. I think it's. Where is it? Page 15. Where he's sitting down with Rocket Racer's children, like his very, very young siblings.
Right.
And explaining to them why the world is unfair, and they're like, "Yeah, we know, Spider-Man."
Watch it. Your
like this
privilege
kid looks
is
like
showing.
she's 4, and he's like, "The whole system stinks. The bail system is supposed to work solely to ensure the appearance of defendants at trial." And she's like, "I'm 5, but go off, Spider-Man." It's just some of it's a little bit clunky.
Right.
I think. I think like Peter having that conversation at the Daily Bugle maybe would have hit a little bit harder, like talking with adults. But it is pretty woke for some 80s Spidey, I will say that.
Right. Now, more importantly, what do you think of Rocket Racer's costume?
You mean Red 9, right?
I guess it is kind of similar, eh?
Yeah, I really like it. It's.
I like the skateboard.
I mean, it's pure
I
80s,
love
right?
the skateboard. I love
visor
that.
And
Yeah, I love that like
that.
Powerline visor. I love that he has like knee pads and elbow pads built into the suit.
Right.
Like the only thing he was missing was like a helmet that kind of looked like a skateboarding helmet. It's great.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. He's got knee pads but no helmet.
Yeah.
That's true. That could never fly today, right? But anyway, there's definitely more Rocket Racer coming, so we should all be looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
good.
Spider-Man Unlimited.
What's
Really?
that?
Runner game.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely. He's in
Okay,
that game.
I'm checking the App Store right now.
It's like from 2014, and it's never been updated.
Oh, just so you know, they do update his costume, and he does get a helmet.
Yeah, he's got bigger goggles. I miss the visor.
Right. I like the visor too, definitely.
Ooh, when he's in, is that X-Men he was in an episode of?
Really?
No, Spider-Man the Animated Series.
Oh,
Ooh,
really?
Can't wait.
Yeah, he's Rocket Racer Spider-Man.
They need to give him his own movie.
Yeah, there
What's
you go.
the Wild Pack?
Oh, that's Silver Sable's group.
Yeah, I think he eventually works for Silver Sable.
Okay, because I was like, he's affiliated with them and the Avengers Academy. So if we see more Silver Sable, who we were introduced to last week,
Yeah.
then I'm excited and interested.
I love this animated outfit where it just looks like he put together a bunch of bike gear, but also he has a very smart skateboard.
So, yeah, here's the thing. I don't think this comic's great, but it's kind of like there was a lot of fill-ins around this era, and this is sort of one of those hidden gems. It's not a masterpiece, but it's got good art. It's got a decent premise, and decent story. So I give it a mild recommendation. If you're gonna read a Spider-Man fill-in, this is one of the better ones. Josh, what do you think?
Just want to let everybody know, it's not on the App Store.
Okay.
I know it wouldn't be.
It's I don't know. I did enjoy reading it, but I don't think that the issue was fantastic. I don't know. I'm kind of like split down the middle. I think I would recommend it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange one.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of lukewarm on it. Like, it does have some kind of deeper, important themes, but the way it goes about explaining them and talking about them feels fake, and that's probably why Becca was saying it feels like a PSA, because it's like a G.I. Joe PSA at the end of the episode. That's kind of how it was told to us. Rather than naturally through the story. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. I don't know if I would recommend it or not, to be honest. I kind of am in the middle.
Huh. Okay. G.I. Joe Lee.
I would recommend this in the same way that I would recommend that one issue of Superman where he saves the day by doing your taxes. Like, it's just a weird social anomaly issue that, if someone was like, who's Rocket Racer? I'd be like, oh, I'll let you know who. And then I would give them this, and then I'd be like, there's also some important stuff in here. Mm-hmm. But that, only within that context.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not handing this out, like on the streets
to
or
kids.
anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay.
It is unfortunate that Rocket Racer is such a cool character, and his backstory is actually very interesting and tragic and important. And then you have the very important character of Bounty Hunter, the bail bondsman, ruining the fact that this could have been a great classic issue that actually meant something to a lot of people.
Yeah, he sucked too. Like, I got some like Dengar vibes from him.
Well, like, what's his outfit even? Like, why are you dressed like that?
That's what I mean. Like, he's only a bounty hunter because he said he's a bounty hunter. Nothing about him is like cool or memorable. He's got a gun and a weird outfit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least Rocket Racer has a skateboard. Like, that means you can have a weird outfit.
Yeah. And you know what?
This guy...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
He's got a very well-rested bitch face.
Rocket Racer?
No, sorry, the bounty hunter.
The bounty hunter. Bounty hunter.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still being petty about his looks with Josh.
Does he have a name? He is just bounty hunter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I had the issue up with all the credits, but I closed it.
He really just gives off Dengar vibes. No. He's just there, huh?
From Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah, why does he have a helmet?
And he's got like weird studs on the helmet too.
Yeah. It's like,
what's that about?
Weird bounty hunter bedazzling.
So yeah, his name is Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is his only appearance. So
really weird and one-dimensional, and his presence in the book sort of only serves the bail bondsman plot, because a bail bondsman, in order to recoup their money, is going to hire a bounty hunter. So he really doesn't need to be in the story. He turns it into he turns the issue into a big fight scene, and that's I think what I like the least about it. When these issues turn into a gigantic video game cutscene where it's a fight, it's like, it's so uninteresting and uninspired, and I feel like they were trying to say something bigger, and
That's
kind of
exactly
got,
what I felt. Right.
yeah, it kind of got trapped within the whole, like, this is a superhero comic, Spider-Man comic bubble. Like, so we have to have a fight. Okay.
So yeah, that wraps up another episode. I definitely want to thank everyone for joining us. Please be sure to join us next week when we review Web of Spider-Man #5 featuring Dr. Octopus again. Amazing Spider-Man #267 featuring my favorite Peter David Spider-Man story, When Cometh the Commuter. Spectacular Spider-Man 105 featuring the Wasp. And also a bonus issue. We're going to read Secret Wars 2 #2 featuring Spider-Man as well as every other Marvel superhero. So that should be fun.
We are?
Oh, yes.
I can't make it.
What?
I'm busy
No, you're not.
playing Spider-Man Unlimited.
Okay.
Which, hilariously enough, the Bounty Hunter is in that one too.
No way.
No, he's definitely not. No, not yet.
Oh my god.
Nice try.
All right,
I wonder
Josh,
if I
you can
could.
take
I
from
wonder
here.
if I could find like on eBay somebody selling like I got this old iPod with Spider-Man Unlimited on it.
You can watch tons of people play it on YouTube.
Anyways, we want to thank
All
you
right,
guys
Josh.
we want to thank you guys so much for listening. It really helps when you leave us a review over on Apple Podcast or when you drop us a line over on Twitter. And you can find us there at HCT Spidercast. Please contact us. Let us know what you guys think about the issues we're talking about and the podcast itself. We really want to keep that comics conversation going.
That's right, and we definitely want to thank G.I. Jolie Bex Luthor for joining us.
Ooh.
Just like you'll be joining us next week, Bex, right?
Huh? So are you breaking up? I can't hear you.
Going through a tunnel right now.
All right.
Yeah, I'm driving my Spider-Mobile.
All right, so on that note, until next Monday, Spider Friends, go for it!